G'day guys, Caleb from Happy Go Travel. We're in the garage again, playing with the Patrol yet again. It's our favourite thing to do right now. We're off to Fraser very shortly, in 3 days. So one of the things I saved from the Fortuna was the ARB single compressor. Eventually I think I'm going to put a double compressor in this, but for now, we'll get this little single one cleaned up, we'll mount it up. I've got the new DASH Offroad bracket, so I'll show you that. To mount a single compressor under the bonnet. So I'm hoping that's a good thing, and this should be a pretty straightforward install. So we'll get her in and we'll get her going. Under the engine bay, this is in front of the air filter. It should just bolt into these holes, and that's where it should sit. There is a little bracket down here. I believe we're going to bend that out of the way. But we'll get the bracket out, we'll mock it up, and we'll see what we need to do. Right, heat shrink, some decent sized gauge cable. I think this is rated to 56 amps, something like that. Got some crimp style connectors. We will heat shrink all them, and conduit. So let's have a look. What's in the box? Legends. Thanks guys. I do love to drink. Love. Okay, a couple of air fittings. So I believe we need to change the angle that it sits. Got the bracket, bolts, washers, nylock nuts so it won't rattle loose, because these things do rattle, and one new high tensile bolt for the top. Yeah, it should sit good. I've got a funny feeling the compressor is going to go in like that. Or like that. Anyway, we'll mock it up, and then we can see how it actually fits. You probably want the compressor filter up, thinking about it. Let's just have a look at this. If you put it in that way, it definitely hits that sensor. If we put it in that way, only just hits that sensor. So that's probably the way to put it, looking at that. Just these couple of bolts, a couple of Allen key bolts on the side of the compressor, that's what makes it move around. Get them nice and tight so she doesn't rattle loose. Now this compressor I've got, this is, well, thinking about it, I've probably had it for about at least 3, probably 4 years. So when it does eventually break, and I think it will, especially pumping up huge tyres, we will eventually change over to a dual compressor. I see. So that's the one, the factory one supplied by ARB, which would have screwed in that way. So that's why you need this one, and then that'll screw in. Of course, this would be easier bolted in, but anyway, this will do. Now I know there's better stuff out there than thread tape, but for me, I'm not overly worried about my compressor leaking, because the amount of times I forget to turn it off, I sort of don't mind it. If it leaks a bit, then I hear it, then I go, oh, I haven't turned it off. So for me, it's probably not a bad thing. So that looks right, but we'll just see. We'll test fit it all and make sure it fits in there. Okay, that's test fit. It should be a good thing. Now you could disassemble the compressor to make this a little bit easier, but I'm not about making life easy for myself. I reckon I'll get it without disassembling it. Disassembling. As I've lost a bolt straight up. So this bolt here sticks out just a little bit too much, and it just hits this little bit of a bulge, this bracket. So I did bend whatever that sensor is, whatever that is, I just bent that down out of the way. Hopefully it's not important, but we'll find out. Now I could go and get a smaller bolt for that, but that'd be too easy. So let's just hit it with a grinder. And put some glasses on. And I'm not a qualified mechanic in any means. So, you know, be safe when you do these things. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I just cut the wrong bolt. I'm just going to go and cut the right bolt instead. You know the old saying, measure twice, cut once? Well, we just shortened both the bolts. Probably better this way anyway. Alright. Fits in there nicely. Rotor spanners. Rotor spanners are a good thing. Now that sits in there really well. So now I do is wire it up. As you can see, the air chuck and all that sits below where the bonnet's going to show. Might just get the airline and just plug it in and have a look at how it sits. I suppose I probably should double check that I can make it to every tyre before I say it's a good thing. The only thing is the compressor sits on this side, the battery's on that side. So you do have to run a length of wire to get to the compressor, but that's all right. We're just nice thick gauge wire, runs across. We'll tuck it in under, compressor there. I just used a step drill bit, put a switch there. So that'll do us for the time being. I will eventually change that switch out to a heavy duty waterproof one, but that'll do to start with. So I ended up making a small adjustment with the wiring. I went away from individual inline bladed fuse. So I had this old fuse box from my old dual battery setup, so I decided I'd utilise that. And a bit of double-sided Velcro tape, and then just run it off the top of the battery. So that tidies it up, keeps it looking nice and clean. One thing I did stuff up though is I had to move the switch, because it turns out where I first put the switch actually fouls on this. And what was happening is as I'd shut the bonnet, it was only just enough that you'd shut the bonnet and it would just turn it on. So I moved it down to the front, and there's more clearance in the front. As you can see, you got that step there. Well, there you have it, that's it. So, as always, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Is a single compressor going to be enough for me? Let me know what you think. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, and as always, until next time, go travel.